Hello everyone, welcome back to Best of the Month. It's a new year and we're back to talk about more games that we've been playing. These don't have to be brand new games, at least one of mine is not. Oh, a little bit of a spoiler there. Yes, I might have picked more than one again. But let's see what some other people have been saying is their favourite game this month.
Hey buddies, welcome to Amass Games. My name is Simon, to doing Best of the Month for January 2023. Now this particular month I have managed to play a number of games, and in this instance we've got a game that I did receive prior to 2023, but due to its size I did not get a chance to get it to the table much, but now I've had a good chance to play it numerous times. This is the game in question. It is a huge game. It's kind of the reason why I wanted to get it, just because of how massive it is and the presence it has. It takes up its own space on at least one of my shelving units. And just to give you some perspective, I thought I could use a different manufacturer or publisher. In this instance, this is Picture Perfect, also by Arcane Wonders, and that's how big it is in comparison. So it's absolutely ginormous. In this particular game though, it's one of the simplest rule sets that I've seen in many years. In fact, I'm quoting somebody else who I've played this with. There are three things you can do. You might have even seen my video relating to that. It's you can either take income, cash, money, silver, or you can buy a deed card, which you're using from your cash, money, or silver. Very similar to the mechanism in Spice Road, also by the designer Amass. Or you can choose to build a building on a space on the grid where you already have a space. So if you've got some deeds, you have basically plots of land, that is where you can build a building. That's useful because you get points of these, whether it be from the population track, whereby you might want to get them purely where you're up to, or win that bonus for having the most, or ties are friendly for the most as well. There are other expansions in this particular edition. This is the Emperor edition, so you can play this, amongst other things, you can play it cooperatively. It's got the monuments in it, which I've also played with as well. I'm looking forward to playing through every single one of them in order. It also comes with other modes as well, whereby you can barter trade, you can even draft of other people saying, I don't want you to have that deed. And sometimes if you play the base game, it can be very swingy in terms of who starts off with what. In the most recent game, in fact, I knew that one player, having set up the game in advance, they were due to do very well, but then somebody said, oh, don't worry, let's just redo it again. That person then ended up getting the best pick. Literally had some buildings ready to build on that very first turn in the center of the board, a size 3 building. Again, if you want to see more about that, please do let me know. But aside from that, this has been Foundations of Rome, Arcane Wonders, Amass Games. Very impressed with this particular one. At least an 8 out of 10 for me. Plenty of stuff going on. Looking forward to trying out other varieties going on with this game. And yeah, very impressive. It does look imposing, and it's strange and almost like a paradox that for something this big, it's such a simple rule set. And that is probably the hardest challenge I think people are finding, is seeing something this big and realizing, oh, it's not that complicated. And it's not long. It takes an hour, maybe 70 minutes, regardless of your player count, 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. It still seems to fit because you ultimately will run out of cards, run out of deed cards, and that'll be an end game trigger. You have one more round, but there are 3 eras. So at some point you might want to get your engine going. You might want to get your victory points early on because you are going to score those 3 times. Any other questions, again, please let me know. And this has been Amass Games. Again, my name is Simon. Hope you found this of interest, and I look forward to speaking to you for the best of the month for February 2023. Who knows? I might have the same video twice for the same game. Unlikely. I think it shines enough as it is. But for now, back to the table.
Hi everyone, Allie here from the Family Meeple. Thank you to Ollie for inviting me back to be part of his pick of the month for January 2023. To start off the month of January, my pick of the month is actually going to be Deception Murder in Hong Kong. Deception Murder in Hong Kong is a game that I added to the collection quite a while ago. It was one that I actually traded for Railways of the World. So I traded Railways of the World. I got Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It included all of the expansions and a ton of promo content. It includes the metal badges and all of the fun upgraded bits and pieces. And I wasn't able to play it. I had heard great things about Deception Murder in Hong Kong. Everyone that you talk to or listen to in the board game community seems to really enjoy this game. It does have a bit of a dark theme, and so I wasn't exactly sure when would be the best time to pull this one out. But over the holidays, we had some friends over and my parents were visiting as well. So I had a slightly larger group than normal. And we ended up pulling this one out with my mom, my friend, myself, and the two oldest kids, who are 8 and 9. And it went over absolutely fantastic with both the adults and the kids. The kids had a blast with it. One of them actually said that he wants to get a copy of this for his birthday. He wanted to know where he could get it. He wants his own copy of Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. There were a couple of cards in the game that the kids found creepy, but nothing is over the top gory that was that we had in our play. So it worked out fine. They were kind of creeped out by the robot that was in there. It looks like a Terminator, and my daughter thought that was a little bit creepy, but they had so much fun telling stories and pointing to different people at the table and saying that their mom was clearly sus and was obviously the murderer because of some crazy connection that they made with the cards in front of them. It was just so much fun. I'm really happy to say that this one is off of my shelf of shame finally, after probably a year of sitting up there. But that is my pick of the month for January 2023 is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Hi, I'm Libby, this is Gillian, we are BoxedMeeples, and today we're talking about our favourite game that we played in January, and there are some gems this month. Gosh, yes, some that I think might even hit future top 10s.
Well, a game that I really enjoyed playing this month was actually Civilization: A New Dawn. I picked this up for cheaps while I was doing Christmas present shopping. I just saw it there for sort of 60% off, and I took a risk on it because I knew this has got the card management that we absolutely love in Ark Nova. And really that's the headline attraction in this game, which actually lends itself really well to a kind of civilization game because, in case you don't know, you have a row of 5 cards, and you can play these cards at any time, but the longer you leave them, the stronger they get. So if you take a card from the far right, it's going to be full power 5 strength. However, if you take a card from the far left, it's much, much weaker. So in so doing, taking one card, you move it to the left, and then everything shifts up the track and therefore gets stronger. And in a civilization style game, this means you kind of have to play everything evenly. Now, I haven't played a great deal of civilization games. In fact, the one I have played is kind of an abstracted version of that, which is Tapestry. So it's really great to play a more authentic exploration style civilization game. And I then realised that there's a strength to doing all of the things to be successful, particularly in Civilization: A New Dawn, because in this game you have certain objectives you need to meet. And the first person to get all 3 of those ends the game. And often the clever card play means that you're able to get each of these 3 objectives, even though they could be very different things. It could be very different goals that aren't always complementary if you focus on achieving one sort of thing of your city. Now, when we played it, actually we played it with the expansion, which I also had to pick up. This is Civilization: A New Dawn, Terra Incognita expansion. And what this did add was the one thing I think would be missing in this game, and that is more confrontation, more military aspects which aren't included in the base game. Also, with the expansion, you're doing far more exploring. So in the base game, the map's all set out. There's no kind of exploring to be done, really. But once you've added in the expansion, you're revealing tiles as you go. And that really does feel like an expanding world, a world of surprises and mystery. It adds a little bit more to the playtime, but it still meets that kind of objective of being a fully fledged civilization game in 2 hours. Obviously, I haven't played the video games on which this is based, and I know the art is taken from Civilization 6, which has been a little bit divisive in some reviews, but I really liked it on the table. I really liked how the world looks as you look over. I liked moving my little caravans around to deliver goods, and I liked those little pesky marauders who kept on wanting to attack and bring down my my caravans. I was just trying to innocently deliver goods to take on the cities. And I really enjoyed just seeing the world expand, be it my tiny little city getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I was making it into a mega city with the little defended markers around it as we were playing it. So in terms of civilization games, I found it very easy to get into without even having taken on a lot of those much, much bigger kind of expansive games. So it's a good one to start with. is like I said, a cheap bargain buy, but it's actually one I'm really pleased to have got into our collection, and it won't be leaving our collection anytime soon, especially with this expansion. So yeah, my game of the month has been Civilization: A New Dawn.
Yeah, that was a really fun play. I really enjoyed it, and I loved how you have different player abilities, so it was slightly asymmetrical. There's going to be some variety in terms of what you're going to be hunting towards, so each play will be different. So I'm intrigued to sort of play some different characters and have different goals ahead of me, or different ways to get different bonuses. Will be interesting.
Yeah.
My pick this month is Rising Sun. Now, we played this right back at the very beginning of the month, over that festive period. And I just think it is such a gem. It's been sat on the shelves. We've been hoping to play it for such a long time. And we managed to persuade someone to come and teach it to us so that it would be a bit easier. We knew need the third player for this one. But I'm desperate to play it again. It was absolutely amazing. And I can certainly see that this could end up in my top 10 quite easily. You have got that traditional sort of area control that you expect from an Eric Lang game. We have played Ankh and Blood Rage a few times, and it has got some similarities in that, but also you've got a lot of other bits and bobs going on, which I really like. The card play is interesting because you've got different characters, ones that are better on the board, moving about, controlling areas, starting fights, and others that are better to go off to some of the top tiles, and then you're basically at the end of the rounds, you're going to see who controls that as to whether they can take that action, which may give you another card which is going to help you throughout the game. So in our game that we played, I picked up one that was going to give me extra points for monsters, because at that point I'd managed to get 3 different monsters, so I thought, wow, excellent, I'll maximise that. And I think you can really sync up the things that you're doing with the powers that you have to make sure that you're maximising the points there. This is a game very much known for its alliances, and in it you have the option to form an alliance with another player. And when you do that, when you're doing your standard card play, which is actually also an interesting play, you get given a bunch of cards that are remaining, you choose which action you want blindly and put that down, and then it goes over, whatever's remaining goes to the next player. But if you have an alliance, when you're taking that action, you also get to do, effectively, a bottom bonus action that only people within that alliance are able to do. And it really changes up who you want to ally with, whether you want to break alliances or whether that will be quite punishing for you. And if you aren't an alliance, it really sways what different actions you might want to do. We definitely found, as 3 players, there was always someone in an alliance and always someone out of the picture each round, and that did change throughout the game. But the person who wasn't in the alliance was always playing different types of cards and trying to do something different to sort of make up for the bonuses that they were missing at that time. And that was really interesting. So yeah, can't wait to delve into this further and have more games and see what's going on. The points was really interesting in terms of the area control, where you're, you know which areas are going to point at each time. So sometimes you've got a load of men somewhere and it's like, oh, well, that area is not going to give any points this round, and I'm also trying to set collect for the areas, so you need to make sure that you're getting a variety of colours and the colours that are also pointing that round. So there's lots of things to think about, lots going on, but I think I fall in love with it.
Well, I need to say, from a Simon game, it looks incredible on the table.
Yes.
All of their miniatures always look
Fantastic.
And yeah, that's certainly true for this one. Yeah, and I'm itching to play it again, and I'm keen to see how it works with kind of an even player count, where the alliances then, people are always allied with someone, and no one's kind of left out in the cold as a third wheel. And it'd be interesting to see then the dynamics, whether you'll change allegiances of people or whether you'll stick as a duo. It's a really fantastic game. And I won't be surprised if we start seeing some expansions appearing in our shelves just to see how it mixes up. But it's great to finally get a chance to play it. I always thought that Blood Rage was always be my favourite of these games, but that might change. Who knows? We'll see.
So yes, I'm cheating a little bit as always, but the 2 games are so different, it's really hard to pick between them. And also, They're wildly different player counts. So first of all, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Please do check out my review on Mind Management. But it has been fantastic every time it's hit the table. After the first game, which was a little bit of a learning session, it's literally, there's a training mode to allow you to learn the game. But this is a hidden movement game. One person is behind a screen and sneakily moving across their own version of the board, while everyone else is looking at the clues. They're slowly dropping off, trying to get more clues on the main board and try and home in of where the recruiter is. It's got this kind of crazy cool theme of mind management, and I really have enjoyed it. It's exactly what I want from a hidden movement game. Giving little clues away, trying not to give too much away at any one time for the recruiter, and trying to deduce when were they there? Can we capture them? Are we in range for the rogue agents? It's phenomenal. But like I said, I won't dwell on that one too much. But it has been certainly fantastic every time I've played it. Mind Management, my first best of the month. The other game is very different. It needs, I think, at least 8 players, but I might be wrong on that. But we played it with 10 on the 2 times we played it, in the middle of a shopping centre. Blood on the Clock Tower. Wow. It had been hyped up to me quite a bit. I had been slightly berated for not joining in because some of the local gaming group that I play with do even host Blood on the Clock Tower. I finally was there when they were doing it, and I'm really kind of, I don't want to say I'm glad I got to play it. I'm kind of annoyed that I've not played it sooner, but I just haven't had the opportunity and the timings haven't worked out. So I can't really say that I'm annoyed that I haven't played it sooner, but it was really good. It takes exactly what you want from Blood on the Clock Tower, takes exactly what you want from a social deduction game. It has those werewolf rules in terms of everyone's, or most people in that game, but in this, everyone's got their own ability. Everyone is good at something. It be that the bad side, they've all got slightly different things. They can confuse some of the others. I mean, their information they're getting is not perfect. All of the good guys have something about them that makes them better or worse. That maybe you want to say you're good, but not reveal what type of role you are, because that's going to give information away. And the biggest thing for me is how it handles elimination. Some games, social deduction games, have player elimination, and it means you are sat on the side for a long period of time. In Blood on the Clock Tower, you are still fully allowed to talk, chat, and do anything you want during the daytimes in terms of talking to people, throwing people under the bus, going, I think they look dodgy. You can do all of that still. It's just you can't nominate someone for the good sort of every night the good guys execute someone they think is bad. You can't nominate someone for that, and you only have 1 vote left for the entirety of the game. It means you've got to really be sure about it, and you're pinning your hopes, if you're good, on that person being bad. It's exactly what you need and want from one of those style games. It's got all of the deception, it's got the sort of slight storytelling of this is what's going on and this was what could be happening or couldn't be happening, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not sure I believe you, because you'd be saying that if you're bad, but then you could be good and be saying it to me, and I don't know. I just really enjoyed Blood on the Clock Tower. I've really enjoyed the Resistance Avalon. That's probably my other go-to social deduction game. And this was just bigger and better. It's just, I'm not going to be able to do it very often. But Blood on the Clock Tower, if you get a chance and you even remotely like social deduction, give it a go. Absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, Mind Management for normal game nights, and Blood on the Clock Tower if you ever get a chance, because it's an experience more than it is a game, I'd say. But that is my best of the month. Now on with some more creators.
Hey everybody, I'm Evan.
And I'm Grayson.
And here we are with our picks for the best of the month for the month of January. We played a lot of games and a lot of good games in the month of January, mostly prepping for a best of 2022 video that we're working on for our own channel. And to be honest, we're not even quite there yet.
Yeah.
So my pick for January is going to require a story. A story about James and Kathy. They were out one day and they found a ghost camera. Okay, because a ghost camera is a thing. And in order to use this ghost camera, they take a bunch of pictures of things all over the town, I guess. And once they develop them, they can see if there's ghosts on them. Makes perfect sense, right? Perfect sense for a theme for a game. So my game is called Ghost Snap, which is a 2-player game where one person plays James and the other plays Kathy. And like I said, you find a ghost camera. And it's not quite a deck building game, but it's like a hand management type game, where you are literally taking pictures using your camera, and one person has to have the camera and the other has to have the film, right?
Yeah.
So the trick of it is there's also anxiety cards in the deck. So if when you draw a card you have too much anxiety, then you get scared because you're taking pictures of ghosts, right? So using like clever card like manipulation,
Using the abilities on the other cards.
Right, on the cards you can successfully take pictures, and you don't know what you're getting when you take the pictures, so you're trying to take as many pictures as you possibly can.
Yes.
So it's a little weird. So like sometimes if you don't know how you do until you end the game. But basically you can't communicate with the other person. But there's ways using the cards and the card abilities to like give the other person cards or look at what they have in their hand.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting 2-player only card game that was a discovery for me this year. And it's a heck of a lot of fun trying to do it properly, because you have to hit a certain point threshold, take so many pictures of ghosts. And so much coverage of the different areas that you're trying to take pictures of.
Yeah.
So it's not, and we have yet to beat it, but we've come pretty close. But so anyway, without further ado, Ghost Snap is my pick for January.
And my pick this week is, let me get it real quick.
Come on, you can do it.
There
it is.
It's Frosthaven. Which is a great game where, I mean, you probably know what Frosthaven is, but
I would imagine so.
basically from what I know is you go around, kill stuff, win.
Right, so...
Or lose. That's also a big possibility.
So we played through a Gloomhaven campaign, but he did not.
No, I
So
didn't.
this is his first experience with this sort of game.
Yeah.
And we've only played 2 games so far.
Yeah, and it was really fun, and we won both times.
Yeah, pretty easily too. So what do you like about Frosthaven?
I like how you gotta cooperate to be able to like actually kill everything.
Yeah. Do you like the cards, like the way the card system works?
Yes, yeah.
Where you have the top of one card and the bottom of another
Yeah.
card. And you have a whole hand of cards.
It works well.
Right? You have a whole hand, and you have to try to figure out what's going to work best together for the situation, right?
And it gets difficult.
It's going to get even more difficult. Just wait. Because the first couple of scenarios weren't too bad.
No, they weren't.
Okay, cool. So we're looking forward to playing like 70 to 80 more games of this, huh?
Yup.
All right. So anything else you want to say about Frosthaven?
I mean, we just got to like the town.
Yes. Okay, that's my other question. So how did you feel about the outpost phase?
It was, well, I mean, it was the first time, so it was long.
Yeah, we kind of didn't know what we were doing going into the outpost phase, so there was a lot of like reading of the instructions.
Just like explaining everything, and we're like, and we were like, oh yeah, there's no outpost phase, and then like when we're like we were like close to end of explaining it, we're like, oh, actually we're supposed to do an outpost phase, and it was just like it was just crazy.
Yeah, so that went a little rough, but whatever. Like we still had a good time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think going forward, the outpost phase is going to go a lot smoother, right?
Except for when the town gets attacked.
When the town gets attacked, yeah, that has not been attacked yet. But I guess that's a thing.
No.
The other thing about Frosthaven is you don't have to go to the outpost every time. You can because it has those
Linked ones?
it has those linked things, so you can go from from one scenario to the next scenario without doing the outpost phase.
Which is
which you probably want to do sometimes because there's also the passage of time in this game. So sometimes maybe we don't want the time to pass. I don't know. Because we're just getting started on Frosthaven. So, yeah, anyway, those are our picks of the month for January. Thanks for having us, and we're going to see you on the next one.
Bye.
Hey, friends and gamers, it's Frenchy. Again, Happy New Year at the end of January 2023. So what's Frenchy's best of the month for this past month? Well, it's going to be Marrakesh. Marrakesh is one of the latest games from Stefan Feld, one of my favorite designers. And Marrakesh is part of Stefan Feld's City Collection, a series of games that he's creating with Queen Games. 4 that have been released, 2 more to come out to Kickstarter later this year. And these are games that are set in different cities around the globe. Now, 3 of the 4 that he's published so far are reimplementations of previous designs that he has created, while Marrakesh is a brand new, built from the ground up design with that familiar type of point salad and gameplay decisions that Stefan Feld is known for. So in Marrakesh, players are going to have a player board in which they're going to go ahead and take caches, which are different cylinders, and they're going to go ahead and select 3 of those caches because they will all start off with the same 12 colors. And then as players select them, they will put workers of those corresponding colors on their player board to signify the actions that they're going to be taking during the round. Once every player has selected their caches, one player is going to gather them all up and they're going to drop them down the cascading tower. That cascading tower will release some or all of the caches, and based on what cascades out, some of them may be stuck in the tower for future turns to spill out. Players will go ahead and organize them on that tower board. Then players will go in order to draft up to 2 caches. Those caches must be drafted in the same color, and then they're going to deploy those caches on the board. After all the caches have been drafted, they're going to take turns. Players are going to take turns by taking the actions based on where their workers are, and either moving up the oasis to get resources or uncover tiles that allow them to go ahead and place it on the top part of their board, gaining different caches, different resources, and scoring endgame scoring effects. Placing things on their date orchard, which allows them to get dates, which is a resource they will need for scrolls and other options. Placing their caches on the university, which allows them to buy scrolls off of the main board. They can go ahead and move up the river based on the blue caches, scoring points and getting resources for how far they go up every season. They can go ahead and create gates and buy gates off the main board and then put them on the board and score additional points from that. But those gates will come with a cost that might boost up their victory points, or if they want to go the cheaper route, might give them fewer or cost them some victory points. They can also go to the market with the yellow, the orange, and the purple caches, or known as the soak, and be able to go ahead, trade those caches in for resources, or go ahead and buy luxury goods by trading those in. Those luxury goods can also couple on with the oasis tiles for in-game scoring points. They can move up the white and black tracks by going ahead and moving up the relevant spaces. As they move up the spaces, they will go ahead and for every threshold they cross, they will go ahead and score or claim 1 dinar, and then go ahead and connect the segments. When they get into a next segment, they will look at the lines across the segment of their 2 workers and choose one of those resources or points that are available to them as they go up. Also, they have a plaza area. That plaza area, when they place a cache there, they will go ahead and get a resource or an action immediately, and then they can take that wheel and turn it 1 spot counterclockwise and select whatever cache they have there and use the multiplier of the amount of people times that action to get additional resources, move up additional tracks. Players will continue to activate their caches, buying scrolls, getting luxury goods, buying gates, moving up the river tracks, and doing other in-game scoring effects in order to go ahead and score points, and not only score points but also create in-game scoring effects as well to help them win. Players will still need to go ahead at the end of every season, look at their provision tiles at the top of the board, and pay all those resources that are available. If they cannot pay all the depicted shown resources, they will lose all of those total points that are there. So Marrakesh gives me everything that I love in a Feld game. A lot of decision spaces, a little bit of randomness, options to go ahead and make a decision over the opportunity cost of action A or action B, but also that cascading cache action in which some of the caches may or may not come out. So you're never quite sure what's dropped, what's going to come out, and so it affords you to go ahead and make some alternative choices based on what actually happens. things that I really love in a Phil game. I think this is one of his top designs, and very happy that it is a new release, and it's a great return to form with some of his recent releases. So that is why Marrakesh is Frenchy's best for January 2023. Folks, thank you so much, and until next time, take care of yourself. Play nice.
Hi, I'm Barb, MeeplePhD, and my favorite play for January 2023 is Clank Catacombs. Clank is a deck-building game where you have a board that you are moving around in order to find treasure and ultimately pick up an artifact. But the entire time you are making the dragon angrier and angrier, and they are going to try to attack you and kill you dead. So I have been a fan of every iteration of Clank. I had the original game, still do. I have bought all of the different map packs for it and expansions. I've played through 2 of the Clank Legacy campaigns. A friend of mine has Clank in Space. I love bringing this game out. Clank Catacombs is a really cool new implementation of the game. If you know Clank, you know this game. You're doing the same things. You're building up your deck in order to get movement to move around the dungeon. You're getting swords in order to fight the monsters. You're ultimately trying to get an artifact. But the big difference here is that the map builds out as you play the game. So you never quite know where those artifacts are going to be. That can make the game a little chaotic, a little frustrating if they're not coming out when you need them to. But it also makes it feel more like that dungeon crawl, right? You don't know what's going to be in the next room, and nor should you. You should be surprised by the terrible ghost that's in the next room. Or delighted that you found the highest point artifact all of a sudden. This is like Clank amped up, even more in my mind, because it means you have a different map every time. You never quite know how the game is going to play out. You have to adapt your strategy as you go. You always want as much movement as you can in your deck, but you also want those other cards that are really cool, and maybe the one that gives you the extra Clank, even though that's a dangerous strategy. This just adds to what is already an amazing universe of games. I highly recommend this. If you love Clank, this is a great re-implementation of it. Give it a try. If you've thought about trying Clank, maybe dive in with this one. But it is just, this has been hitting the table this month, and every play has just been a lot of fun. I'm MeeplePhD on Instagram and Twitter. I have a YouTube channel where I connect astronomy and board games. Go find me there. Otherwise, have a great month gaming.
Hello and welcome. I'm Adam from Board at Home, and this is Best of the Month. For January's Best of the Month, I have gone for Orichalcum. This is a game where you are collecting a variety of different resources in order to be the first one to score 5 points at the end of the game. So a bit of flavour first. You are Atlanteans, you have had to abandon your home, and you are on the search for a new homeland. Each player has their own tile boards with different islands on them, and you'll be populating this with terrain tiles, buildings, monsters that you need to defeat in your bid to collect Orichalcum and create temples to the gods themselves. Over the course of the game, you will also be able to win the favour of the Titans. These will give you one-off bonuses whenever you meet the requirements. However, do be careful, as other players can steal the Titan away from you by meeting those requirements as well. This is a light to midweight family strategy game that styles itself as a 4X or a civilization game in under an hour, and you can certainly see that in the mechanics within the game. So we have got ourselves a nice dash of dice combat, we've got tile placement, set collection, we've got ourselves resource management and card drafting as well. So on your turn, you will pick one of the cards that are available in front of you in the middle of the board. That tile will give, or that action card will give you a tile, sometimes with a monster on it, as well as an action that you can perform. You will place the tile somewhere on your board. Depending on what features are on there, what types of terrain, you may decide how you want to place that. And then if you get a Titan by having 3 or more matching tiles touching each other, you secure the Titan at least temporarily. If you have 4 tiles that are of different types, for example, and you're able to build, you can build a temple on it and that will score you a point.
Alternatively, to also win points, if you have 5 orichalcum nuggets, you can trade those in order to build an orichalcum medallion. Said other actions that are available are fighting the monsters that are on your board, building other constructions as well. These will give you bonuses to help you defeat those monsters, as well as give you extra actions for cheaper as well. All in all, it's a really, really nice game. A good level of strategy for anyone that just wants something that is fun to play, doesn't require a whole lot of setup or hours upon hours of playing. Maybe you do enjoy 4X games, or you do enjoy a Civilization style game, you just don't have the time to get through that, then orichalcum is one that I can seriously consider. Alternatively, for families or people that are coming into the game and are looking for a next step up, this is perfect as a step up from other games such as Carcassonne, Acropolis, for example. All in all, it's been an absolute blast to play. I've enjoyed every single game of this that I have played, and I'm looking forward to playing many more over the coming month as well. The presentation, the whole component quality of the game is really up there. Really, really pleased with the whole thing. If you haven't tried it out and you live locally, do come on down and give it a try. We have it in our library now. Alternatively, if you don't live locally and you can't make it to the shop, I do recommend finding it at your local game store to give it a try. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the boardroom.
And well, that about wraps us up today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Check out everyone that has sort of been involved. Their links will be in the description box below next to their timestamps, so you can click that and go either to like their YouTube channel, so you can go and subscribe and watch their content, or their socials or website or whatever, depending on what they've wanted in the description box. So go and check them all out. They're all epic people. Hope you have a brilliant year, and we'll see you back next month.